Lord. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're in the same dorm, in Humboldt. Uh-huh. Yeah, first person I met there. Really, really enjoyed it, coming out of the bath. Of the bathroom.
Oh. You're like, oh, you're cute.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly, yeah, in our same dorm. A lot of years ago, 23 years ago, yeah. Long time. Oh. My daughter's already like, I can't wait to go to college to meet my partner. And I'm like, you're 11, calm down. Stop trying to date your friends, calm down. Oh, yeah. Right? I'm like, oh, you will, don't worry. You're 11, so I promise.
That's like personal thing, like I guess but for my mom, she's like Catholic religious, and I'm also religious. So she's like, please with help, all that. And then so I feel like was mother's intuition, but then this like talk about it, but like not really
Sure.
So that was my mother. Because I'm just all like, I was listening to my dad, like, it's like, he's fine with everything, but I'm just all like, well, end of the day, for people, like, I've never been like, this was always disgusting for mine. Like, one day, I just have that connection, so it's like, you become friends, so that they're the best friends, and so that's what they felt. But I was like, not sure. I was like,
Yeah. Like it's all becoming.
yeah, right. He's really good at those unplugged. And we drugs. Oh my god, I understand.
At least there's some effort there, right? Yeah, that's nice. Better than nothing.
Like Korea, they're like not the gay, or at least they're not to the world. Like gay marriage is not.
Oh, okay.
I think only Thai.
Yeah, I don't know.
People, in Japan, but not for me.
Okay. It's different everywhere. It's wild, but the attitude is different.
I'm gonna say that because like there's no gay Koreans any I've seen.
Yeah.
That I've seen.
Okay.
Or they're like
Yeah.
celebrities.
Right out invisible. How is everybody? Yeah, for a Monday, hanging in there. All right. Halloween's next week, which is exciting. Like everywhere I go, it's Christmas, but like Halloween's next week, Like I went to Lowe's and it was just like, it was like a 25-foot tall, like abominable snowman. I was like, I don't think it's big enough, right? Like, but yeah, Halloween, I'm so excited for Halloween next week on Friday. I'm ready to eat some candy. I've been building up and building my tolerance now for candy. I wanted to remind you, I put it on the board if you're looking ahead. So today we'll cover chapter 7, and then we have chapter 10. And then on Monday is our second exam. Okay, so Monday, we don't have class because you're taking the exam on campus. And you can take it at this time, or you can take it all the way until 11:59 p.m. It's up to you. You have that flexibility, but the study guide's on Canvas. Canvas is not working right now, or I would show you. It's down at the moment. Oh, you're upset.
There's like an assignment like should have done.
I
So, yeah.
I know, and so on the plus side, it's been down since midnight, so you can use that. I've had quite a few emails already of like it's down, and the school sent out an email, so hopefully your instructor will be flexible. Yeah, so they know your instructor should know.
Like 3 weeks ago.
Right, oh, well, yeah. I can't help you there, but if it was like, but it is still down as of right now, so it might be that you just can't. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that too, there was that Amazon was down, like a bunch of like, virtual things were on today. So it could be that there's a bigger thing, right? So hopefully it's all working soon, but it will be on Canvas on Monday. If it's not working for some reason, we can deal with that, but it should be, I would assume it'll be up later today. Hopefully long after 1 maybe, right? So that's coming up on Monday. I'll remind you again on Wednesday. So today we get to fall in love, be sappy and fall in love today. Right? Let's go. So we'll talk about love and intimacy and attachment, which is I think a really like interesting precursor. Not a lot on that because it's not directly related, but it definitely shapes love for a lot of people. So some loving images for you. Let's get in the mood here, right? Some images of people who look happy and in love. And I have a movie love montage for you too. So let's just really hit you over the head with it this morning, right? This montage makes me want to watch Star Wars every time. Like there's like a little Han Solo clip in there, and that's my takeaway. I'm gonna go home and watch Star Wars after this. But let me play this for you just to kind of get into the loving spirit here as we get into this back on here. But before we talk more about love, let's talk about attachment just for a minute, right? So let me bring this here. So your attachment style when you're a child with your caregivers sets the stage for how you love and who you love as an adult. It'll go away in a sec. There you go. So attachment style is huge, right? And there are 4 main attachment styles. There's been a lot of people who have studied this. One of the first big people to study attachment was a person named Harry Harlow. And if you've taken any other like psych classes, you've probably heard of some of these people. Sorry, wrote that really poorly. I should have just erased it and started over. Harry Harlow. Harry Harlow was known for his experiments in the 1950s with monkeys, right? So he did this whole experiment with monkeys in the 50s where an infant monkey was given the choice between 2 mother figures. One mother was a wire mother that had food, and the other one was like this soft cloth mother with no food. Okay. And the monkeys almost always chose the soft terry cloth like mother that didn't have the food. Right. And there was just this research being done about like, why do we choose the people that we choose and like looking for a source of comfort. Your first source of attachment is typically your parents. Oftentimes like a mother or father or parent or guardian, whoever's raising you. And this is something that is formed in that first year of life. By the time you're about a year old and start walking and start venturing away from your attachment figures, you have an attachment style kind of already in place. It can change a little bit over time, but it tends to be pretty formed by about a year or so into your life. Then John Bowlby was another person who came later. John Bowlby, and then Mary Ainsworth. And all of these people, like back in like the 1950s and 1960s, were looking at how do we respond when you have a source of comfort? Who are you going to choose? What happens when you remove the source of comfort? So Ainsworth created something she called the strange situation. And this has been replicated so many times. But the strange situation was this idea where there's a caregiver that you're in a room with, and then they leave, and they see how you respond, not only to them leaving, but when they come back. Okay, so literally you're sitting in a room like playing with a caregiver, like a parent, and then they walk out, and we watch what happens. Do you cry? Are you upset? Do you not care? Right? Some people didn't care. And then when they come back, are you happy to see them, or are you mad at them? Or do you not, you're not able to be comforted anymore at that point? So how are you responding to them being present and then gone? And through like these 3 different people and all these different experiments and information and stuff that was gathered, we have 4 main attachment styles. Now the names of these kind of change all over the place. So some of them have like a separate name afterward. They're kind of referred to similarly. But the gold standard is secure attachment. Most people have a secure attachment style. What this means is that you are kind of able to build healthy, long-lasting relationships. As a child, you felt safe, you felt understood, you were comforted in situations, you had a consistent, present, emotionally and physically, caregiver that made you feel safe. And so as an adult, when you love people, you feel secure. That's your attachment style. A lot of people have anxious or preoccupied attachment styles. Right? This one's the least common at the bottom, but anxious is another one. Defined by fears of rejection and abandonment. You need validation a lot. And so you can see these things in your adult relationships. This is where it gets interesting. Like, so we have tendencies that formed when you were a child from your parents but then you put them into adult relationships. So if you're the kind of person who needs a lot of like validation, some of you are smiling, of codependent tendencies, you tend to be like, one of my kids is like a little shadow. She's always like right there, right? Like you maybe had inconsistent parenting or inconsistent attention, or somebody wasn't attuned to your needs. So as a result, you tend to be kind of an anxious, preoccupied adult. Avoidant or dismissive, my partner's avoidant. And I'm like, I'm disorganized, right? So it doesn't always go great, but we figured it out. It's taken a lot of years, but we figured it out. But avoidant is when you tend to kind of pull away. You tend to be a little bit more like absent. You need like, you have an inability to like engage physically and emotionally. So it's a little harder for you. You tend to be a little dismissive and avoidant in your interactions. And disorganized is when you're fearful and avoiding. You had really inconsistent caregiving as a child. And so you tend to be inconsistent as an adult. You have a lot of like fear and comfort that are intertwined with each other. And so you have kind of disorganized behaviors that result from it. Okay, so most people fall into one of these categories. You maybe have like a dominant one, and then you have ones that are kind of like underneath it. But four main attachment styles that were formed as a child and directly impact the way that you love and your relationships as an adult. Right? Is that a yeah?
I guess words with most thoughts.
Sure. It depends, because what happens is it's not on its own that it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's when you combine them that it becomes a problem, right? So let's say you have somebody who's really anxious, preoccupied, and somebody who's really avoidant. You're like, no, right? That's not going to go well, because you have somebody who is like constantly fearing rejection and abandonment. So they're going to be clingy. And then you have somebody who needs distance. And the second you're clingy, they pull away. It's going to be a problem, right? So it's more of a combination of them together than they are on their own. The most like difficult one is typically disorganized because it's not consistent. And the most easy one is typically secure because it's consistent and you feel safe. But it's more the way that they interact with each other.
Like disorganized sounds more like, I don't know, I don't know the exact word, more like Stockholm syndrome.
It could be.
Just like comfort in the fear of.
Or you're unable to be comforted despite getting comfort. Like you have fear, but you can't internalize it because you didn't internalize it when you were little. Is kind of where you tend to see it a little bit more. So it's the interaction of them that makes it tricky, right? And like some of you smiling as I'm talking about this, these play out constantly, right? And sometimes it's obvious, right? You're like, oh, you're clearly here and I'm clearly here, and that's a problem. Now you can often work through them. As I mentioned, like I am very much here. Like I had very inconsistent like caregiver attention as a child. And so like I tend to go back and forth, and my partner is very here. It's hard for us sometimes, I won't lie, but we have like figured it out, right? And so oftentimes when you figure somebody out, you can make it work, but it can be tricky. Was there, so, oh, it's almost like I saw hands somewhere here. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess the last question is like more like, so if you're raising your child, because my husband, she gave so much attention to the first child.
Sure.
To the point that he anxious instead of
secure. Yeah, you can go too far, right?
That, so I guess just so like, I guess just the parent is really hard.
Yeah.
You can never, I guess, predict what they're so be like,
right. Oh, you can't, for sure, right? And you could do everything the same with all three of your, like, so I have three kids, right? And we've raised them, I think, pretty much the same, but they're all so different, right? Like my oldest, so securely like attached and fine. My middle, like I would definitely say is kind of on the avoidant like end at times, but like she might be a little bit here despite having like two very loving, involved parents. So some of this is how you're raised, and some of it is your like internal like wiring, and the things that happen. Like so it's so complicated is the wild thing with this. And there's a really interesting book. I have it and I'll pass it around if you want. It's all about attachment and how it relates to relationships. Kind of an easy, interesting read. And then I have an attachment style. It's here. if you're interested. So, what I want you to do, you're not turning this in. Okay, so don't worry about your name and stuff at the top. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this text. And I'll tell you how to score it. The scoring's on the back, so it's actually pretty clear. But what I want you to do is think about how you tend to be in general or think of how you are in a relationship. And you need to kind of pick one. So either think about a relationship that you're in right now, or a past relationship, or your ideal, or how you are in general. Just pick a lane and stay in it. Whichever one you pick is fine, just make sure you are consistent. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna rate your reaction to each one of these sentences with a little scale up at the top. Okay, so there's a link in the slides, but like, don't worry about the questions. We'll kind of talk about them together. But you rate them, right? So the first question, right? I find it easy to get close to others and I'm comfortable depending on them. Okay, so do you strongly disagree all the way to strongly agree? And then what you'll do is you'll add up your points for each like section. You can see where it says score. So take a little bit of time. And again, biggest thing, just pick one stance, like in general, in a relationship right now, like kind of pick one global stance to go in. So I'll give you a few minutes to take that and then we can talk more about it. So the scoring's a little weird. Okay, so after you finish each section, like out of the total score for each section, in general, the higher score indicates your stuff, right? So on the back, they have this score page. If you ignore that, whichever one is the highest number, read that type. That makes the most sense for who you are. So like if your secure one is the highest number, then that's your style, followed by the next one, followed by. A few more minutes, and then we can talk about it together a little bit. No, no, you're not turning. Again, add up your total for each section.
Wait, should I write down our feelings on it? Or?
No, we don't need to, no, just needs to. Term.
Oh, Adam. Like,
Yeah, so like in this section, right? Added all the numbers.
I don't.
No, so don't worry about that. So whichever one is the highest,
Oh,
number,
it's your-
or be your stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a more complicated way to do it, that's good. Well, this is also very short,
Yeah.
so there are more in-depth, like I have a link in the slides if you want to take like a more in-depth one, but. If a few of you still adding, or there's just another minute, and we can talk about it. So when you added them up, how many of you have like one clearly higher than the rest? Like section, does anyone have that? Like where one's like clearly your style and the rest are lower? They want to have a couple that are high? Like, or similar? Okay, so it's not uncommon for people to have like different levels. It's not like you're usually, very few people are like all one, you know, like, so for me, my fearful avoiding and my anxious preoccupied are close, right? They're fairly close, which kind of makes sense because we're sort of combining them in that last category. But if you have one that's like clearly higher, that probably represents your style. You have one that's clearly lower, that's obviously not your stuff, right? Like, so kind of using the extremes in that way. And then you can read through the little interpretation at the end, whichever one is highest is going to be yours. But there are some of these online that are free that are pretty decent. I put a link in the slides on Canvas when Canvas comes back up if you want to take a better one. But this is a good like informal indicator. I don't know, any thoughts? Does it feel sort of true, not true? Like any reactions? Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
You know. Similar to operate,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Yeah, and there's probably some overlap, but there's a change in like the intensity, right? And so it'd be interesting to see like if that holds up, at some point or not. Like it'll be interesting because it might be very similar, or it could go in a slightly different direction, right? Anybody else? Any other thoughts? Yeah. I see some smiles, right? Like I mean, and most of the time we know, like we have an idea of like where our struggles and strengths are, right? But I think it's kind of interesting if you look at this, there's such a strong correlation. And sometimes like that book I handed out, it talks about all the struggles between the dynamics of different attachment styles and how to navigate them. Really interesting like idea. Yeah.
Idea which one it was, but I got 30 on that one, and I was like, I could.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Well, my score was 35 on this one. I was like, I nailed all of them. Yeah, right. And so like sometimes it's again, it can be really obvious or there can be kind of levels of each, right? And that's one criticism of this is different partners can also bring out different levels of this depending on how they are with you, right? And so like depending on your mood when you took this, how things are in your relationship today, if you thought about a current relationship, that could change it too. So things to just kind of keep in the back of your mind. But in general, this tends to directly impact how our relationship functions on like a daily day-to-day basis. A lot of research between this and how we are as an adult. Okay, and again, it can kind of evolve, but it tends to be pretty consistent. So when we talk about love in general, okay, the second I see that title, this is all that comes to my head. Ready? I have a sound effect with it.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
That's all I can think about. Like the second.
Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No more.
To it. All right. Something that's really difficult to define, right? Like this is the definition for love. How unsatisfying, ready? It's a special attitude with behavioral and emotional components. A special one, right? I like that. Means different things to different people, incredibly difficult to define, incredibly difficult to measure. Doesn't mean that we haven't given it our best, right? There's a bunch of different types of love. So rather than being like one type of love, we tend to talk about different types between different people, between different types of relationships in our life. So one very basic distinction when it comes to love is there's romantic and passionate love and companionate conjugal love. And now this is like the most basic distinction between the two. And we're talking about like in relationships here with like a romantic partner. When you first fall in love with someone, we tend to call this romantic or passionate love. It's more like infatuation. So the whole idea of like love at first sight, it's more like infatuation at first sight. In the beginning of a relationship, first like 3 months or so is typically what we're talking about here. You have intense desire and feelings. You don't tend to know the person all that well yet, right? So it tends to kind of be more of like an infatuation than actual love. There tends to be very little conflict in the beginning of relationships. When you're falling in love with someone, everything is like great, right? You feel complete, very like all you can think about all the time is this other person. There's a lot of desire, very minimal conflict and like things like that. It tends to be kind of short-lived. And it has to transition into more like companionate or conjugal love in order to last. But oftentimes around the 3 to 7 month mark of a relationship, people start to have the romantic, passionate love fade. And if you don't understand the chemistry behind that, which we'll get to, you can be like, oh, I no longer have feelings for this person. And people tend to break up. That first fight or like the 3 to 7 month mark tend to be somewhat problematic in relationships because it starts to fade for very chemical reasons that we'll talk about in a little bit. And then it has to like transition to more of like a companionate conjugal love, which is more enduring. Right, you actually know them, right, and it's more familiar. Did you have a?
Oh, so you said 3 to 7 months?
3 to 7 months, right? So typically, 3 to 7 months, there's like a change that happens. Your brain can no longer keep up the outpouring of all of the chemicals involved. And so it starts to drop a little bit, and people are like, oh, I've fallen out of love with them. But understanding that actually can go a long way. Behaviorally too. Yeah. Or you have your first fight with them, because in the first few months is typically you don't have that happen. You're just like so consumed with it that doesn't happen. You have that first fight and it's like, oh, we're done, right? Like we're no longer in love, right? But the whole idea that people don't fight when they love each other is also kind of silly, right? You just learn how to navigate the fights with somebody. Well, yeah. It's interesting because they're kind of like common markers. So the 3 to 7 month like point is a very common one chemically. And then the 3-year point is a big one in terms of like commitment. So oftentimes when people have been together for a certain amount of time, it's like, well, are we going to take the next step or not? And like those choices. So like there are kind of like time frames where people tend to struggle more. And like the 3 to 7 month mark one is one, the 3-year mark is another one, the 7-year mark is another one. And some of those are a little more like cultural and like expectation based, and some are more chemical based. But it can happen at any point for any reason, right? But there are common ones that people tend to struggle. Yeah. Right. The 3-year market is a big one. A lot of people look at in the like 3-ish year. It's like, are we going to how are we going to define ourselves like moving forward? And like kind of looking at where you are versus where other people are. Oh, we get in trouble with relationships and comparing to others, don't we? Like it's a very common thing to do. And so yeah, the 3-year mark can be a typical time where people struggle with the like long-term commitment of the relationship. So this is another theory. Sternberg created a 3-prong theory. He said that we have passion, intimacy, and commitment are the 3 main components to love. Passion, intimacy, and commitment. So in the beginning, passion is very strong, and then it tends to fade a little bit over time. Intimacy and commitment are things that need to build. So he said like the gold standard of love is what he called consummate love in the beginning, where people have, or I'm in the middle, sorry, where people have intimacy, passion, and commitment. You want all 3 things to have what he called consummate love. If you have infatuation alone, that's just passion, right? If you have liking alone, that could be like friendship, and that could be more of like just the intimacy piece, right? So different types of love leading, or different elements of love leading to different types. So sometimes people together for a long time, like people might be together for 15, 20, 30 plus years, and they no longer have the intimacy or passion, but they have the commitment, or he would call that empty love. So how kind of different elements can create different types of love, and that intimacy alone would be friendship, passion alone would be infatuation, commitment alone would be like an empty love. So starting to look at how different elements can combine together to create different types of love that you might have with a person. And again, like it depends on the person, it depends on the relationship, but kind of all these different pieces to love. It's not just one thing, there are different elements. Sternberg proposed 3 of them. Yeah. No, so this would be with another person, right? So empty love would be maybe people who stay together just because they've been together. Like they no longer have like that. So it's commitment alone. So they no longer have passion or intimacy, but it might be more like we stay together for the kids.
Exactly.
Or we stay together because we've been together for 20 years and it's healthy. Right? But you no longer have that passion or intimacy piece. Yeah.
It's really interesting because I have trouble like determining how I feel for somebody
Sure.
like that, yes.
Yeah.
And when I hear about other people's relationship stories and how they like fell in love, I've never really felt that, so it's always so bizarre.
Yeah, but everybody loves in a different way, right? And so it's just for you, it's just going to be finding someone who loves in the same way as you, right? But like it is interesting, we compare constantly, right? Like you listen to someone else and you're like, oh, I wish we had that, or like, we don't have that, right? And then like other people you listen, you're like, oh, thank goodness, we're not that way. My neighbors last night, oh my gosh, my neighbors fight like crazy. Like, and when they fight, they scream. They've been married a long time. They have kids like older than ours. Last night they were screaming at each other, like name calling, screaming. We're like in the bathroom listening. Right? Like, it's so like wildly interesting. And like in that moment, I'm like, thank goodness we don't talk to each other that way, right? But then they were making up like all night afterward, right? Like we could hear that too. We're like closing the window on that one, right? Like, I don't want to hear this, right? But I wanted to hear all the fighting, but not that part, right? So like they have a lot of passion, right? Like a lot of it, like whether it's good or bad, right? And some people love that. Some people love the like angry, heated, a lot of emotion. Other people can't stand it, right? And so it's everybody's so different, which makes it tricky sometimes, but it also makes it wonderful when it clicks. Yeah.
When did Summer come up with this, like, trying to hold?
Oh, old. It was like in the 60s or 70s, right? Yeah, and it's persisted a long time, but yeah, it's not new.
How like they add like
Yeah, respect is good. Yeah,
you know,
sure.
like, I don't know. Personally, if I were to call my partner,
Oh, I know.
okay, you're done.
I mean, he called her every name I could think of,
Yeah,
and she
no.
forgave him later that night. I mean,
Like, I'm the
Yeah.
type to like forgive but not forget.
right? Yeah,
But yeah, just I guess respect.
yeah.
I mean, that's
No, not as much respect, right? I would assume that could fall under like commitment, but it's different, right? Some people are that way. It's like I can move on. Other people, you said it once, I would never like that. Yeah,
Just like, I don't know, just speaking of name calling, like, I feel like I'm really lucky because I'm on more of this model.
Uh-huh.
Relationship.
yeah,
And like name calling is like one thing that they're like, once you call someone that you love and name, like you can apologize, but
you can never take it back.
So
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know, it's just like, that's like, so. I think, a really bad sign.
yes,
I think it's really good when you have be mad at you. So, like, any sort of,
global insult like that.
like, it's unnecessary.
Yeah, no, and like the way that we model these things as kids oftentimes shapes what we view as like healthy or healthy. In either way, right? Like, so maybe your parents were really toxic and you grow up and you're like, I don't want that. Like, I know that I don't want that, right? Or you have parents that are very like loving and you're like, that's wrong, right? My kids are so interesting on this one. Like, my daughter Emma will just sit there and she'll be like, I want somebody who's just like you, right? Like to my partner, and I like all the time I'm like, what about me? Like, you know what I want, like me? She's like, well, you're too like sappy. And I was all like, okay, well, and then my daughter would be like, I really like that boy. What's the name sappy like that? So like, I mean, we've raised them the same way, but my daughter Emma, this was yesterday. She's like, you're always so sappy, you. It kind of makes me sick. And so I'm like, screw you. Like, well, if I wasn't sappy, you wouldn't exist, right? Like, I don't want to say. But it's interesting the things that you see. Like you'd be like, I really like that, or I don't like that. Or maybe you're not sure what you like, and it's kind of like you feel it out, right? Yeah.
That's really interesting because I live with my brother and his wife,
Yeah.
and the things that they call each other is insane. So
Oh.
like she talks to me about what he says to her, and I'm like, and you're still with her?
Yeah.
Like, and then they just act like it's completely fine and all the next day and just sitting there.
Yeah. Versus I would be like, if like my partner called me a name, and it was awful to me the way my neighbors were. I mean, I guarantee you there'd be no making like
I'd
that
be
would
at
happen
the
in our
door.
house for a long time. Like, right, like I wouldn't forget it. I would hold on to it. Like I could forgive, but maybe not forget. I agree. Yeah. I would agree.
I was gonna say, I think a lot of couples, or I think a lot of people tend to seek out a romantic relationship that they're love with. Sure. Something behind this in my own relationship was that my boyfriend was like share a lot of the same behaviors as my twin brother, and I share a lot of the behaviors as his older brother.
Okay.
So we're both like sort of used to our personality types, so we're more comfortable around it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think that's often the case, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, cause we're going back to the Jane Paul and stuff like that, like, I feel like there's people who can forgive and like, for like, whatever it is, and there's some people who will hold on to it, but I feel like, for me personally, I'm kind of in the middle, cause like, it kind of just depends on how far you go with
Sure.
that word, you know, it's like, I don't know, like, if you go and like, there's just like the one word for me that's a no-go is like, don't call me a bitch. Like, don't call me that. Like, you can call me any of like
Anything but
literally
that.
anything
Yeah.
but that.
Right.
So it's like that's where I would draw the line. So I feel like there's also those boundaries of
Sure.
certain words too.
Yeah, like, cause you're gonna fight with a party, right? But how you fight the things that are said, how you negotiate and move through the fights plays a big role, right? And your attachment style can play a role in the fights too. So like for me, and this might be more information you need, right? But for me, like when we fight, I don't promote the space. Okay, like, and my partner, all she wants is space. Yeah, that took us like 10 years to figure out. Like, I won't lie, like that was a hard one. Because in the beginning, when we would fight, she would get in her car and leave. And it would freak me out. Freak me out. Because like I don't have a secure attachment style. So her leaving would terrify me. Like, is she coming back? Like, I would like want to get in my car and go follow her. Like, but I like if I did that, but she would never, right? And so like for now, after like years, like when we fight, she'll like, I'll give her space in our house, right? Like, so she can be in the back and have it, I'll give her like 4 minutes. Like, but like, she's gotten good with like, I can give her a few minutes in our house. So I know she's not leaving. She knows she can have the space. And I'll come back and be like, can you talk to me? And if she's not ready, she'll tell me. And I'll sit out the other room like this. And I'm struggling with it, and she probably doesn't have as much space as she would like, but we have figured it out, right? But versus I'm the beginning, like she would leave, and I would just like, oh, I'd have to hear, right? Because I didn't roll with that. And so like you can learn to like navigate this, like, but it takes some effort, yeah.
Are these attachment styles something that you're stuck with after a certain point? Like, is there like a point in your life where it's like, oh, it's when you're turning?
Right, right, you're never coming back.
Yeah.
You can learn to shift them. You can actually like, so in therapy, they call it reparenting, right? So you can actually learn to change them, but it takes a lot of effort. So it's more like finding ways to meet in the middle, things like that. You can change them over time. There was another, yeah. 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 Right, and some people like it's the like who left and like it just it causes it to go up here. My parents as a child, like they wouldn't leave each other, but they would leave us with them. Right, and so like whenever something was difficult, like they would leave. And so like the leaving triggers something from when I was little that I like can barely like through therapy I've learned to recognize, right? But like it's interesting how like all those old things that you saw when you were little, like they're activated by relationships, like you created. And so it's that fine balance, right? And again, you can change them. It just takes effort and awareness and a willingness to work with. Yeah.
So that leaving thing is like avoiding.
Yeah. Avoidant people tend to leave or want space.
Yeah.
Right? They might not leave, but it's space.
Yeah.
I think that calling names can be a form of affection also. Like me and my affection.
Oh, affection.
Because me and my boyfriend call each other stupid and gay all.
So it's different when it's like, so it's said in the heat of like a really angry battle, this is just like an exchange, right? Like, and so that's where every relationship is different, right? Like it could be a form of affection and endearment, like, or it could be a form of hate, right? Like,
Yeah.
thanks. Okay, so this is a really big popular current theory, the colors of blood. I'm giving you one more test here. This one I think is easier, more intuitive. So with this one, John Allen Lee proposed that there are different colors of love, different love styles. Okay, and that certain styles can do better with each other. So all you're going to do for this one is go through and you're going to rate each statement 5 to 1. Right? The little scale up here. And again, think either about a current relationship or friendship whatever you wanna do, you can think about your ideal. You can think about the past, but pick a lane, you gotta stay in a lane. So think about each statement and then you have a total score for each type of what. And so I'll give you a few minutes for
So
this.
just imagine like you put your ideal one and then like answer questions based on that.
Say that one more time.
So we're supposed to visualize our ideal partner and then,
It could be your ideal, or it could be like a current relationship or a past relationship. You can
I'll
pick
just-
any of them, just pick one to state, right? Yeah, if you, thank you for letting me know. So I think that was thank you, I appreciate it.
I think that.
It's not.
Okay.
Secret, you don't need to tell them everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good thinking.
yeah,
Um, I could get over my affair with my partner pretty easily, but we just not.
maybe you could do one, you could go over, like, it
Oh.
wouldn't bother me. You could go over.
Okay, I thought it meant like you being able to get over it if we did cheat.
Yeah, yeah, like, that's
Oh.
exactly what I meant. Yeah, so if they cheated on you, you could go over.
Wait, but. It says my affair.
So,
Is that-
like, if they cheated on you, if they got, we gotta. So this one goes.
Okay.
Like, so like, yeah, so if there was a threat, we could.
Oh,
And I know some of the questions are worded a little ugly, like, just do your best with it. Try and understand kind of the general essence of it. And then again, you should have a score for each section.
like, I'm already kind of going so far, but it's like, it's already looked to me that I'll probably be like some more, like, the main colors that I'd have is probably like. High arrows, high storage.
Sure.
Like, I just really love just having some, like, I think like. I just like well, I didn't really fully understand, I feel like there's this one like stuff where like they kind of talked about how like they thought love. How like one person's interpretation of love was, and it's like. Ironically, I agree with that a lot because it's like. I ironically agreed with a lot, so it's like I pretty much just like feel like while I do have like some sort of romantic stuff and like I still feel like I'd still like to get like pleased every now and then.
So you kind of have, yes, so where you're
Well,
at,
please, but it's like, but I still really like to have them as like a nice like stabilizing point. Like just have someone just like kind of be there, have someone basically more or less be my rock.
No, no.
Like
We'll give you a couple more minutes and again, just add up your score for each type. And the higher the score, the more like you, the lower the score, the less like you. That's very, simple scoring. I know.
Absolutely.
Sorry to give you math twice, but it's very rude of me, I told you.
and
I'll talk about that, it's very nice.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yes.
like this is one hilarious kind of thing. This was like where it's like an important fact from so far. What about to be a good parent? And it's like.
But a lot of people are very practical and they're
Like it's kind of weird to look up. Because on one hand, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna bother having kids. But on the other hand, I would like them to have like some aspects of a good parent,
sure,
just so they can so they can use that to help take care of me.
so you moderately agree,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
or just like one of those things where it's like it's just very much slightly disagree. So it's like unlike all the other ones,
Yeah.
there's been one I just put in school. Like I
In terms of with like your instant thought, right? It's easy to overthink it. Anyone still adding? See if anyone still. Okay, we just. What is this? Much newer. This was like within the last like 10 years. Feels more modular than.
You want specific.
Alright, so how many of you have like a one score that's clearly higher than the rest? So then I have like one clear dominant winner? Yeah? How many of you have like a couple that are like kind of in the same place? Right?
I had two that.
Two that are tied. Okay, so I have three that are tied. I'll share this with you later. Okay, Eros, Mania, and Agape. So I am romantic, crazy, and selfless. I don't know, whatever, we'll see. Right? Romantic, crazy, and selfless, right? So what this is a very modern theory, right? This is much newer. And you can obviously see looking at them, which ones might go better together and which ones might not go so great together, right? So somebody who's very practical is probably not going to do so well with somebody who's like a game playing, right? Like, so if you're someone who's like a very like practical lover, a game playing lover, and you want one thing to go great. Or if you have somebody who's like very romantic and somebody who's very like game playing, like that might be hard. It might be okay in the beginning, but not so much as it transitions. So I will tell you, I have some extras of these. if you're interested in taking one to give to somebody, but I'm not responsible for the outcome. Okay? So once, 13 years ago, and I will never forget it, I had a girl give it to her boyfriend and they broke up afterwards.
Whoa.
So clearly they were on the path to breaking up already. I do not feel like I was responsible, but I never like, I'm always like, I don't know, do I really want to give it to you? Like, I kind of want to hold it. But if you want to give this to somebody, I have extras. You're welcome to take them today. I think it's an interesting conversation starter, but just take it with like a grain of caution. Tiny little bit of caution, right? If you feel like you're on the edge of like fighting over something, maybe don't get it to them right now. All right, yeah.
And so, what you're doing for,
Yeah.
my opinion, people either date to marry or date for experience.
It could be, yeah.
Date for experience,
Okay,
not much.
yeah.
I guess, people are feeling if you're dating to marry.
Then maybe be a little more, yeah.
And I feel like.
Right, and so just, you know, it's up to you, but if you would like one, I do have extras, but I always, I'm like, oh, Brandon, that his name was over. He was mad at me, I'm like, it's not my fault, I didn't give it to you, anyway. But this is a very popular current theory, that we all have like different colors or ways that we love. Bottom line, all of these are overly simplistic, right? Like, I mean, the quizzes and things are fun, but never let a quiz tell you what you are, whether it's your orientation, your gender, your like love style, whatever, you know what it is best. It's something that's probably constantly evolving and changing. It's going to depend on the relationship, but there are a lot of these different things on there. And in general, people who are like compatible tend to do better than people who are like extremely opposite styles of loving. But you can work on things with people, as I've shared, like my partner and I are very different, and we've found ways to work on it. That's possible too. Okay, so overly simplistic, but definitely interesting. One like kind of last big topic for today. I've mentioned this a few times. There's a lot of chemistry when it comes to falling in love. This kind of takes some of the romance out of it a little bit, but when you first meet someone, the things that you're feeling are very chemically driven. And you might not even know the person at all. Like there's a lot of moments in those first, like, oh my gosh, we're so amazing together. I have so many feelings for them. They're so attractive. Then you learn one little piece of information, all gone, right? Like very easy to do in the beginning of a relationship. And it has a lot to do with these different neurotransmitters and hormones that are coursing through your system when you meet someone that you are attracted to. Yeah. Mm.
The attraction, which is people who are forced to work with certain something.
Right. That's all I could think. I should keep these things to myself, but yeah, no, not capable. So some of the things like she mentioned, just to kind of highlight them a little bit, right? Like these are the different chemistry pieces that are happening when you're falling in love or infatuation with someone. Norepinephrine, or NE for short, as she mentioned, right, it's in charge of a lot of these physical sensations. When you're around somebody that you're interested in, right, your palms are sweaty, your heart is pounding, you get dry mouth, you get butterflies in the stomach. Let's take all the romance out of that. Ready? Butterflies in the stomach. All that is, here, I'll come back to the slide. That fluttery feeling is the feeling of blood being rerouted away from your intestines to go elsewhere to give you the energy to fight something off. It is a completely sympathetic nervous system response related to adrenaline and norepinephrine. So that like, bless you, butterflies in the stomach, you're nervous and like, oh, I'm falling in love, completely sympathetic response, right? Not to take the romance out of it, but that's what's happening here when you have that feeling. It's very related to norepinephrine. It's a neurotransmitter that courses through your system when you're nervous, when you're excited, when you're afraid, and when you're in love, right? All together. Dopamine, another neurotransmitter, it's a stimulant. It stimulates your body, right, and your mind. Focused attention, desire, and pleasure. All very, very controlled by dopamine, right? Dopamine plays a big role in a lot of things related to mood. So does serotonin, SE, serotonin. Craving, and obsession, right? When you're obsessed with someone, they're all you can think about. You're craving them, you want to be near them, right? These work for like things too, right? But we're talking about people here and falling in love. But when you're craving something, you're obsessed with something, that is serotonin, right? And it's coursing through your system on such a strong level when you are infatuated with someone. PEA or phenylethylamine is like the master hormone or master like substance in your brain. It tends to trigger all of these into action. But another really big one is oxytocin. Sometimes we call this the cuddle hormone. It's released when you are physically in contact with another person. So it's released during breastfeeding as a child, right? It's released when you have orgasms, right? You get a massive dose of oxytocin when you have an orgasm, right? And it also is released when you cuddle or holding hands or kissing someone. And it makes you feel closer to them as a result. So all of these things are happening when you are falling in love with or infatuated with another person. Your body cannot keep this up indefinitely. Okay, what happens, like it does with any substance, is you develop a tolerance. And so after 3 to 7 months, when a lot of people break up for the first time, these things taper off and you go, I'm no longer in love with them. I don't feel that rush anymore. I'm not nervous anymore. I'm not feeling that craving and obsession. It must be them. It must be the relationship. So an awareness of that can help. You also can trick these things into coming forward a little bit too. Roller coasters, anything scary. This is the perfect time for these things, right? Go to Halloween Horror Nights, right, with your date, and you will have rushes of these things like mad and think you're even more in love with each other than you are. You can trick your brain into feeling these things, right? So even after maybe you've been together a long time, little elements of like fear or excitement, roller coasters, scary movies, anything with like a jump is going to cause these things to be released and you can feel them again. So little tricks for dating, take them to something mildly scary. Yeah.
It's like, hey, I like the same sex, and I get all these chemistry, approval,
Oh, like you said, as evidence.
yeah, I'm saying, right?
You could try. You could give it a shot. Yeah. I mean, these things happen like with friendships too. Like on a lesser level with friendships, right? Like if you go and do something like really fun and kind of mildly scary, exciting with friends, that bond gets forged faster chemically. Now, whether it lasts or not, whether the relationship lasts or not, that's up to you afterward. But you can trick your brain into this a little bit in the beginning. Now, I have a little homework assignment for you that I'm going to give you. I'm going to play a song for you. And I know we're kind of up toward the end, but I have enough time, just barely. And what I want you to do between now and when I see Wednesday is answer the one question on the back. So this is a very, I'm gonna start and just pass them around for a second. I'll start the song. So the song, I'm sorry if you have this stuck in your head, but Your Love Is My Drug is very related to this. And so I want to play it for you so that you've heard it